Conservatives are standing here.
Yeah, sure. This from
Conservatives are standing here today based on the principle that your home is your castle.
Start that again here. Sorry about that. It's Pierre Poilievre.
Conservatives are standing here today based on the principle that your home is your castle. We're calling on the government to introduce and immediately pass the Stand on Guard law, failing which one of our party's MPs will put forward such a bill. It will amend Section 34.2 of the Criminal Code, which right now says that you can defend yourself based on 9 very complicated and vague conditions. Now look, if you're defending your house, you don't have time to think through 9 different conditions. You have one condition: to protect yourself and your kids. And it is wrong for the law, for the police, and for judges to apply a complicated, indecipherable legal doctrine against you when you were only doing what is right. Our amendment instead will change Section 34.2 of the Criminal Code to say that the use of force, including lethal force, is presumed reasonable against an individual who unlawfully enters a house and poses a threat to the safety of anyone inside. The proposed amendment is reasonable and prudent. It applies only to the unlawful entry of a home and preserves proportionality. Simply put, it means you have the right to use force to defend your home and your family against someone who threatens you and who has entered illegally. It's more liberal.
Canadian Looney. Sure. Hey, Aaron, peace. How you doing?
These are Muslim values. These are Canadian.
Let's see here.
These are Muslim values. These are Canadian values.
And speaking as a European,
and we really have 2 choices. As a jurisdiction, as a country in this circumstance, we can nostalgically look back and long for the old order to somehow return, or we can build a new one with purpose and partnership.
Immigration, porous border. I think our per capita immigration rate exceeds that of the U.S., even given the U.S. open southern border.
Oh, by far. We had a population growth of 1.2 million in 2023. That's on a base of 40 million people. So it's an astonishing number of people to bring in 1 year. Everyone now admits that this was a calamity.
Before Justin Trudeau took office, there were just under 10,000 asylum claim applications. And do you want to know how many? So it was 10,000 in 2050. Do you know how many it is as of the data that they released on Friday night? 291,000, almost 292,000 people are in the asylum claim backlog.
Okay, what's up, Aaron here, Canadian Looney. Did you hear Mark Carney during the campaign platforming any of these things? Changing the old way, these are Muslim values, I'm European. It was elbows up, and now he's lost that battle and continues to act like it didn't happen. Anyhow, he can continue to ignore the issues we have in immigration, but you'll see right here coming up where it goes. They're having this issue in Australia. They have one of these fascist type governments down there as well. Boy, oh boy, let's take a peek. We're in hot water. Canadians, it's time to wake up to this woke liberal BS that's happening. Let's take a look at how things are going in Australia.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Don't buy a new car, buy a used rental car instead. Hey, I know what you're thinking. That sounds crazy, but let me explain. See, every year, 2 rental companies switch out their vehicles and get new ones, and no, it's not because they're
The Australians turned out in force despite the fear-mongering from politicians and the media.
Australia is a nation of foreigners, just like that wonderful song says. From all the lands on earth we come. And Australia isn't a place where we walk with Nazis. Australia is a place that went to war with Nazis.
We absolutely condemn the March for Australia rally that's going on today. It is not about increasing social harmony. We think, and I think the vast majority of the Australians think that multiculturalism has been a good thing for our country.
Labor politicians should have had more faith in their fellow Australians. When neo-Nazi leader Jack Eltis was given the microphone in Sydney, large numbers of people booed and many left the event.
At one point in Melbourne, pro-Australia protesters even came face to face with pro-Palestinian protesters. Have a look.
There's a lot to unpack in the events of today, but let's start with the key concerns, it seems, of the majority of people who marched around Australia. They're upset that mass immigration has replaced controlled immigration. There was no one that I heard or saw who was anti-immigration. They were anti-mass immigration. And the other concern is that multiculturalism has clearly replaced...
As a European, I am a European, actually.
Oh, you
yeah,
are?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm a citizen. Yeah. So there you go.
Well,
I
Let's
can
just a
speak as a
little
European.
look through what
WTF.
what they're saying in Australia.
And as the most European of the non-European countries,
being aware of what potential conflicts of interest
what
you sought
possible
to avoid.
conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance.
No, you're not. You're a lying piece of shit.
These are Muslim values. These are Canadian values.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations, you're spending more money on taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter combined.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
All right, gang, thank you all very much for watching. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe, smash that subscribe. We're trying to grow this thing. Canadian Federal Politics. Get yours right here. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you.
Yeah, Canadian Loon is one of the good channels that brings the truth out. This is the truth. There's Moose on the Loose. Check him out too. Rebel News. He's also good. There's the Plug Reporter. Let's see. It's, for 4 months ago. There's pretty much live streams there. Okay, so visit channel for a moment there. Yeah, it's like the Plug hasn't been on for a while. Hey, how you
All right,
doing?
we're back online.
Yeah, miss you.
Hello, chat.
Haven't seen you for a bit, so hope you're doing okay. Let's go back to Moose and Loose here for a moment.
The government hates this gadget, but drivers are grabbing it before it gets banned. There's a new radar detector out there that's rewriting the rule.
Now, legal experts that we've been speaking today are raising some concerns. Some bit of a slippery slope is the term.
Things are getting really interesting here. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got Donald Trump's tariffs have been found by American court to be illegal. So what does this mean? What does this mean for Canada? Tariffs on other countries around the world? Let's jump into this. First up, we got some polling data coming from Nick Nanos here, Nanos Research. This one showing support for tariffs on U.S. imports. 7 in 10 Canadians support tariffs on U.S. imports. I don't think the average person really knows the effect of this on our economy. They're just kind of thinking like, yeah, let's fight back, but doesn't really know the gravity of the situation here. So we're seeing Green 39% support, 32% somewhat support, and then only 25% of people opposing it, 4% unsure. That's the most recent data. If we go back to January 2025, it was much higher.
Plus that percent, as I was saying, I hate to interrupt. If there's any copyright, I apologize. Just doing my part to get the what's going on out there, the truth, you know. So anyway, let's get back into it here.
So looking at the demographics here, 70% of men, 70% of women, and then the different age groups, it's all relatively all around 70% of Canadians support tariffs on U.S. imports. That makes our life more expensive. That's our government putting tariffs on U.S. imports, and we have to pay more for these products. And since America's economy is 12.7 times, something like that, bigger than ours, our tariffs on their economy doesn't hardly affect them. It just makes life more unaffordable for us. So really, the only thing we should be doing here is focusing on getting a deal. And we need transparency what's going on with the negotiations, because Mark Carney isn't putting things on the table that Donald Trump wants in concession. This one here, do you support signing a trade agreement with the United States that includes some tariffs on Canadian imports? And we're seeing 41% saying yes, some tariffs, and then about 50% saying no. With that, we've got U.S. Appeals Court finds Trump tariffs unlawful, setting up likely a Supreme Court showdown.
Turning to the latest now on Trump's trade war, a federal appeals court has ruled the U.S. president has no legal right to impose sweeping tariffs. But before Canadians think this is the end of the tariff war, the court is leaving the levies in place for now, allowing the appeals to make their way to the Supreme Court. Journalist Steve Futterman has been following developments for us and has the latest from Los Angeles.
This was a split decision by the Court of Appeals, 7-4, basically saying that what Donald Trump did with some of the tariffs, this does not apply to all of them, but a significant number of them, and a significant number that relate to Canada, including the reciprocal tariffs. They said this is something that Congress has the right to do. It's not something that the U.S. president has the right to do. And this is something that has been argued for a while, and the appeals court agreed with the arguments against these tariffs. It went along with the district court, which said basically the same thing, that Trump was basically overriding the rights of this Congress to make tariffs go into effect. Neil Katyal is a former Solicitor General under the Obama administration. He was arguing the case against Trump. This was his reaction last night.
My hope is that if he does see these tariffs as so important, he should go to the Congress and not try and run to the courts to do what he can't get done through the legislative process. If he goes to the Supreme Court, we will be absolutely ready, and we are confident that the Supreme Court will hear our arguments and take them in good measure.
So this doesn't affect all tariffs. It doesn't affect steel, aluminum, autos, a lot of the big ones. It affects other ones. So this also doesn't apply to copper, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, lumber, critical minerals, energy products, books and information materials, smartphones, computers, and various electronic products. Now you might be
in effect, but they have been challenged successfully at this moment. But the ruling is going to have to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. It seems almost certain, Eli, the Supreme Court will make the final decision on these tariffs, and they will probably make it fairly soon. Again, the mid-October date has been set up by the Court of Appeals. That's when this ruling would take effect. We probably will expect a Supreme Court decision before that.
Journalist Steve Futterman in Los Angeles. So what does this ruling mean for Canada and its ongoing tariff talks with the Trump administration? We spoke about it earlier with Lawrence Herman. He's an international trade lawyer and former Canadian diplomat.
It makes for a lot of uncertainty until the Supreme Court clarifies things, but we have to bear in mind that the Court of Appeals struck down tariffs that Trump issued by presidential declaration or proclamation under one statute. There's another statute that he has used to apply tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos, and those tariffs have not been struck down. That is not an issue. That separate group of tariffs under a different law.
Yeah, so those are not affected. The key thing coming out of this is Mark Carney should strike now to get a deal. If he approaches Donald Trump right now and almost treats the tariffs like they're still in place, they are technically in place, but treat them as if they will be in place going forward, almost respecting the tariffs as part of the negotiation, because really this is a blow to Trump's negotiation. This is essentially Trump, if he loses these tariffs, he would be capitulating for nothing. So if Mark Carney treats it like he's trying to remove these and respecting the tariffs as they're going to continue to be there, which they may not be, it would be a great opportunity to try to get a deal. Say, hey, if you remove the 35% tariffs, move the steel, aluminum, auto tariffs, all those tariffs, here's what we're going to give you: supply management, critical minerals, clean up the border, more military spending. We're going to stop allowing China to send steel through Canada into America, all this kind of stuff. Now's the time to strike, because Trump